Thank you. One very excited person. That's great. Don't go fully dark on us yet, because we're going to do a few announcements first. And I think Zaria is going to tell us about the popcorn gig now.
Hello, I'm Zaria, the band leader of the Zaria Sims Collective. And thank you. This Wednesday, we're playing a gig at the Hi-Ho Lounge. So Ralph Zimmerman's band is going to play first. They're more of a pop punk, I think he describes it as. And then we're playing, and then there's a bebop jam session afterwards. It's going to be a lot of fun. $10 at the door. We start at 9. Thank you.
Hi y'all, I'm Mia, and I have a show this Saturday at the Neutral Ground as a part of the Loyola Songwriter Saturdays at the Neutral Ground. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. It starts at 7, and there's gonna be a lot of other awesome Loyola songwriters. So yeah, come out.
Woohoo! We got a case of the Mondays in here, don't we? I might have to do the New Orleans, how you feeling? Get you fired up? Yeah, no, I don't do that. Cool, so we have a fabulous guest today. And probably none of you had her for marketing. She used to teach marketing for us and has done lots of interesting things in the music industry. She's got some videos for you here too. In the olden days, when you wanted to have a hit, you had to get your stuff on the radio. And we're still a little bit trying to figure out how that works now. And I think we might get some more ideas about that right now. Please welcome, you're in charge of the U.S. programming for Amazing Radio. Please welcome Erin Frankenheimer.
Thank you. Hi, guys. Thanks so much for your time. So yeah, my name is Erin Frankenheimer. I am the Vice President of Amazing Radio USA. Amazing Radio started in Newcastle, England, and has been around since 2007 and became a proper station in 2009. So they've been championing new, independent and new music for a very long time. But to give you a little background on myself, I'm originally from Los Angeles and was very fortunate to have a dad who's in music business. So I started interning at record labels, publishing companies, and the like when I was 14. I worked at Immortal Records then when they had some, I'll really date myself, so Cypress Hill, Funk Dubious, House of Pain, Incubus, Far. That's what I can remember off the top of my head. And so I've always worked on the business side of things. It would be really bad if I was ever asked to do anything on the musical side of things. How many of you guys in here are musicians or songwriters? Oh, nice. Okay, cool. That's great. How many of you are from New Orleans? Okay, and so everyone who's not from New Orleans, can you raise your hand? How many of you plan on staying here when you graduate? Whew. Well, hopefully we can change that. We'll see. It is hard. So I grew up in LA. I came to school here. I went to Tulane next door, and there was no music industries program. I think this might have been a thing. Yeah, I started in 2000 at Tulane. So this was not a thing, and Tulane certainly didn't have any kind of music business program then. So I majored in English and communications, continued to go back to LA to do internships. I hated working at CAA so much, I did it a second summer just to hate it right. And that's creative artist agencies, if you're not familiar. They're like one of the biggest agencies, period. But it's definitely an interesting work environment that probably wouldn't fly today, so maybe I wouldn't hate it so much. And so I did that forever, but I really didn't want to leave New Orleans, and so I got a job in radio, in addition to, I hope I don't make y'all cringe, bartending at F&M's, where I made my real money. And so I worked for Entercom, and I drove around the big, ugly vans, promoting Magic or B97 or WWL, and I would stand outside Walgreens and try and convince people, like, no, if you give me your name and you're nice, maybe we'll pull your name out for the iPad we're trying to give away. Or actually, iPads didn't exist then. So that was what I did because I really wanted to work in music and I wanted to stay in New Orleans, and radio seemed like the only truly viable option. And I never thought I'd actually work in radio. I certainly didn't think I'd be back at it again, but it seems to find me. And I was doing promotions, and the way that I got on the air was another way to date myself. I did a presentation right before Katrina on how we should be using MySpace to better communicate with our DJs, or our listenership, the DJs to the listeners. And so when I did that, the program director, who now is still the PD of the lead alt-rock stations in New York and K-Rock in LA, he offered me a radio position. And so I had a new and emerging show on Sunday nights, 10 to midnight. I chose it because that was when old Loveline was on. And I thought, if kids are home alone, locked in their room, probably late Sunday night is a good time. And I would play only new and emerging music. And so I did that for 4 or 5 years, again, still bartending. I managed bands. And then I also worked for the Tipitinas Foundation for a few years. So that sort of was my New Orleans path. Went back to LA for a couple of years, and that's where I met my CEO, Paul Campbell, who founded Amazing Radio. And we met to talk about a talent position, and he said, I actually like you more on the business side. So I was his A&R rep, and I went around trying to sign up bands for airplay in the US. And I did that for a while, and then I went to Live Nation, and I did marketing for them, and that's another soul sucker, but if you can get an internship there, it's a great spot to learn. And so I did that for a few years, and then I went to TuneCore and worked for them here locally, helping people distribute their music. And then I went back to Amazing Radio when they launched their US station. So thanks for bearing with me on that story. But Amazing Radio is an incredible platform. I loved it when I was there back in 2012 to 2014, and I love it even more now. The thing about working at places like Live Nation or TuneCore, they're really wonderful, big brands and places to work. They're corporate, they have nice benefits, all that stuff, but you don't actually get to help artists. You don't get to champion them, you don't get to discover stuff and get excited about it in the same way. Everyone's kind of equal or not. Live Nation not, TuneCore, everyone's supposed to be equal. So the fun thing about Amazing Radio is anyone can sign up, but really it's the quality music that we play. So I'll play you guys a couple of things. I'll just start here. This is an ad that we run, just to give you a little idea.
Such a unique system that it's a direct channel to airplay. Probably more importantly, a direct channel towards a music community.
This is Amazing Radio.
We've been across 4 or 5 different shows. We've charted twice.
I've been on their rotation, on playlist. It really has helped me to get where I am today.
I really get the impression that you guys play whatever you think is cool, and that's something that more radio stations should do.
It's Charlie Ashcroft with you on air.
Shell Zanahi with you.
We've reached out to way more people than we thought.
Broadcasting around the world. My name's Frankie. It's Jim Gellertley back with more new and emerging music.
I've had a fair few plays across the world.
You're listening to Amazing Radio USA. I'm your host, Erin.
We are Mimi and Music Queen. We are from Nashville, Tennessee.
My name is Toby. Welcome.
Hello, it's Anya Marina.
This is Dominic Martinez from deep in the heart of Austin, Texas.
It's Joe Sumner, and I am bringing you some of the freshest new tunes.
We can always tell when we've had it play on the radio. New likes coming in, people buying merch.
It's just great to be involved in something that's constantly dishing out opportunities for independent bands, like the acquisition of CMJ and the festival over there.
Welcome to the CMJ Music Marathon.
I'm so grateful to Amazing Radio for including me on their One Night Stand series.
One Night Stand.
I'm delighted to be joined live today by Arlo Parks and Ryan from Bedroom, and from the US, Lila Blue.
They seem to get onto everything so early.
I know with Amazing, it was always about the music. If it's a good song, it will be played.
So that is Amazing Radio, and you might have seen them mention CMJ in there. Is anyone in here familiar with what CMJ was? Okay. CMJ used to be like the South by Southwest of New York, and we acquired it after it had been dead in the water, so to speak. The people who originally owned it kind of ran it into the ground, and so we acquired it back in late 2019, just in time for the pandemic. So we are reimagining that, and that will launch again in 2022, but most likely not in New York. It very well could be here, which would be an amazing opportunity. So there are a lot of things that Amazing Radio does. You can tell that we have passionate DJs. We have true tastemakers. When you upload your music into the system, it's seen by both the US and the UK staff. There's 2 separate streams. And we don't tell our presenters what to play. So, for example, there's an artist out of Memphis named Tyke T. He's on the Memphis Grammy board, which covers New Orleans, as I'm sure you guys know. And he is a hip-hop artist, and he's very locked into the community, and we hired him knowing that he's gonna play hip-hop and R&B. And because the UK station, they're not an American station, they sort of have this, there was a hole in that genre. There's a hole in country, too. So just things that are a little more American. So we hired Tyke, for example, because we know that he'll lean into those genres. He'll fill that gap for us naturally. But if he decides that he loves something from the Appalachian Mountains that is banjo heavy, and he wants to play it every show from now until the end of the year, we're not gonna stop him. So his show is his. That's the really nice thing. And the very unique thing about Amazing Radio is we don't interfere with what our presenters play, and if they're passionate about something, they just run with it. So I love working here, and I think it's a really great resource for people. Also, we have label accounts in addition to artists uploading their own stuff, some from their bedrooms, some who are very well known. I mean, you saw the names up there. Dua Lipa's had her music in the system since 2015, and you have to volunteer to be in Amazing Radio. So it's not like, someone didn't do that. But our larger label accounts are label just meaning you're gonna have more than one artist, are largely publicity companies, publicists, because they also see the value. They know that the music industry listens. Are you guys familiar with Glassnote Records? Okay, Mumford & Sons, Secondhand Serenade, Childish Gambino, they were all signed there, or still are at some point. Givers, who are from Lafayette, Louisiana, they're also signed to Glassnote Records. So there was a guy that I was friends with when I was working there, and I told him about Amazing Radio, and he got poached by Columbia at the time to be their youngest VP of A&R at 27. And he told me, I love listening to Amazing Radio because I know I'm gonna know more than the guy down the hall, which makes me look good at work, but I'm definitely gonna know more than the guys down the street. So the competition, whatever the other record labels are. And his name is Adam Herzog, and he's King Princess's manager right now. So he understands the value of the station too. But it is brand new in the US, so I'm grateful to be able to talk to you guys. I think that this program is stellar, and I think you guys have a lot of, I've had quite a few good interns from here. So, oop, I did something. Sorry. No, thank you, just that, okay. So, I'll show you a testimonial. These are fun. We do these with artists that get good airplay. You heard some of the artists up there talking about the chart. Our chart is unlike any other chart because, like I said, you have to opt in to be on the station. So we're not gonna have, I don't even know what's popular right now on regular radio. We're not gonna have, Rihanna hasn't made a record in forever. I don't know, throw something out. We're not gonna have that. Whatever you're hearing on Top 40, you're most likely not gonna hear it with us. But that doesn't mean artists like, do y'all know who Alt J is? Okay, so Alt J would tell you, and they were a big deal 10 years ago, so I don't expect you to, but they would tell you their first airplay was on Amazing Radio, and at the time they were a really big independent artist. So what we've done though with these artists that, and you guys know who Arlo Parks is, right? You saw her in the video. So she's a good example of someone who was like #1 on our charts forever. That's the kind of artist that we get behind and that our presenters seem to gravitate towards. And to get on the chart, it's about getting played in presenters' shows, it's about getting the likes, it's about all of that kind of engagement on the site. So our charts are kind of generated in this different way. And then I think you saw the playlist. So those are, we call them the ABC and specialist playlists. And A's get the most rotation, B's a little less, C a little less than that, and then specialists are kind of those things that are out of the box, like maybe it's a great jazz track that we don't need to play 10 times in one day, or maybe it's a really cool country instrumental, it could be anything. So I'm actually responsible for all of that programming, and that's the programming that happens around the shows. So I get to listen to all sorts of stuff, but I decide what goes into the playlist if it's something that I know, an artist that we already love, or if it just sounds really cool and it's brand new, but I'll also look at the airplay, like who on the US team is playing that. Are all of our DJs who tend to play R&B and hip hop gravitating towards something, then it probably needs some extra attention and to go on the playlist. So that's how that's done as well. But we started doing these things with artists that we like and that like us back, called testimonials. And so we have an editing team that does this, and we use them to promote the station and to promote artists. So I'm gonna show you 2 of these.
Hello everybody, hello Amazing Radio. I'm Curtis from the band Kids in America. We discovered Amazing Radio through some amazing artists that we're friends with, Molly Jensen, Cautious Clay. We got involved last year when our band released our first single, Summer of Love, and we have seen support across the board. Just wanted to thank everyone for listening to our music and all the DJs for spinning our singles on Amazing Radio. From us, Kids in America, to you, thank you, and keep listening and keep spinning the songs. We appreciate it so much. Peace out.
Are any of you familiar with the artist Soleil, who attended Loyola? Okay. So she's somebody who was brought to my attention by another student here, and they signed her up, and she is someone who charted, who got a lot of airplay, and who we were really fond of. So we asked her if she would do a testimonial, and this is it.
Here's Soleil with her new hit, Bombay.
No way, we have been out on a new way.
We have been out on a new way, you know. I'm a black noise artist from hip hop, R&B, French pop. Black people daggone near created every genre in the world, so it's my excuse to honor the heritage that black people created.
You must be dumb, gotta be tripping.
I have Amazing Radio to thank. They played my first single on the radio. It gave me legitimacy. One of my singles played in one of the largest radio stations in the DMV, 93.9, and I feel like it was because of Amazing Radio. Shout out to them for what they do for artists, how they truly just want to find new artists and support new music. Thank you so much again. Peace and love.
So in addition to testimonials, we also have sessions where we'll ask artists to just basically say, this is Amazing Radio, you're listening to an amazing session, and they do a YouTube video or 2, acoustic, or however they want to do it. I think our one that the 1975 did a few years back has like 800,000 views on it, but they're kind of an exception. So we do that, we do the testimonials, and of course I'd blank on what the third thing is. It'll come to me. But there's a lot of opportunities for artists, and this is sort of what gets all of our blood pumping. Release of the week. So every week we feature a new artist, and when we started doing this, they were kind of album of the week. We were mirroring what the UK did, and we decided we could do a little bit more. We could interview these artists, have them talk about it. We can create a cool short teaser, and then we can fill the hour on Friday when we champion that release of the week with the interview between a presenter and an artist. And I really love this one. I'll show you in just a second because it's a jazz musician, which you wouldn't really think could kind of work on a station like ours, but everybody was loving his music. So I went to go do a deep dive, and I was like, all right, well, let me see what I can learn about this guy, Rafi Bushman. And I couldn't find anything. He had 0 social media presence, which really doesn't behoove us as a company if you think about it. We should be going after people who have 10,000 followers on Instagram and are gonna reshare and whatever else. So I emailed him directly and I asked him, am I missing something? Is there a different handle? And he said, no, I just don't have social media. And I said, oh, I see. Do you have like a publicist or a manager? Do they think you're crazy? And he said, no, they know this is really good for my mental health. I just don't have one. And he's so exceptional as a musician, I just couldn't resist, still wanted to do something with him. So we have a presenter in Harlem named Linton Smith. If you can tell, I have my little New Orleans pause on everything. He actually went to school here at at NOCA, and he was in the Tipitina's internship program when I oversaw that a very long time ago when he was a teenager. He's 28, 29 now, but he is very much a really brilliant jazz mind and a great hip-hop producer and artist and a super kind, great, smart person. So I asked him if he would interview this jazz musician, and I'll just show you the little YouTube clip, and I'm gonna show you guys 2 of these. So this is Rafi and Linton, and Linton lives in Harlem, so he interviews in his tiny kitchen, which also doubles as his studio.
it's so easy when you put out a project for people to interpret it however they want to, and then there's so many different things that shape that interpretation and stuff, and I feel like we don't get a chance as artists to necessarily guide some of that. If you're down for it, I want to give you a chance to do some of that.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
First track is Darkness, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing I noticed is that like it feels like the beginning of it is just like a descent into darkness.
Darkness is kind of like another word for confusion. So I was thinking about a specific day in my life, trying to figure a lot of things out, but also I was kind of embarrassed to talk about. I didn't want to confide in anyone. And I found myself just walking around London on my own, aimlessly, and like every 20 minutes I just break down. I kind of was like experimenting with like sonata form. You know, instead of having one melody, you can have a melody made out of different pieces. I had like a first subject and a second subject. The solo is kind of like the development section. And then you return to the first subject and second subject played on top of each other. I thought that kind of added nicely to the feeling of just like confusion and not knowing how to fix it.
Comes across very strongly, man.
Thank you.
The next one was Bittersweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also love the title on this one.
You know what it is about basically being in a relationship that I couldn't make work. You can have so much love for someone, but if you have resentment and you poison the whole thing. There's a little intro which has kind of like these little short melodies moving in different directions, and that to me kind of represents conflict. And then when it drops into the piece, it kind of sounds like dreamy. When you remember relationships and you remember being in love with someone, it's like, you remember the good bits and it feels good to remember them. But as the piece moves on, the B section suddenly goes a bit kind of minor-y, a bit scary. You know, with these relationships that look good on the outside, but actually on the inside, it's not all happening.
I love the fact that like the focus is the emotion of it. I feel like that's what creates the best music.
That's it, man. The emotional content.
Next up was Distraction.
Yeah, man.
Tell me if I'm wrong or right about this. I felt like the bass line was kind of like the melody of it, and it had like the right hand. Felt like that was the distraction that was happening.
The bass line, that's really meant to represent like just those ugly thoughts that you have that sometimes come in and they just bully you, man. Like, or you can let them bully you. When you have that thought and then suddenly you can't think straight and you can't focus, I definitely suffered a lot from that over the years. And it's only something I've only like recently learned to be aware of and understand how to handle, you know?
Gotcha. The next one was Abraham, and it felt like this was a turning point in the project.
We used to have these like Bible story cartoons, used to just watch when we were kids. And the one of Abraham and Isaac was the one that like just affected me, man. It's like God tells him to like sacrifice his son. He's got to take his son up this mountain, and he's thinking like, I love my son, but I got to sacrifice it.
Yeah.
So it's the feeling of being conflicted. So you use brushes instead of sticks.
Yeah.
And so I really like how forward that sound of the brushes sound, because you normally think of like brushes kind of sitting back, playing more relaxed. So I really like that texture on that one.
Yeah, it's a great one, man. I think that one was my favorite one on there, honestly.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think that's the one for the like jazz heads, really.
Yeah, yep. And the last one is Beginner's Mind. Talk a little bit about that one.
So this one is really just about the process of meditating. It can be stormy in there, you know, man. When you're actually like watching your mind, you're like, all of this stuff is coming out, and it takes over, and it makes you feel emotions. And so I kind of wanted to represent that in the music. Yeah, man, like that, I felt like that, obviously that's the most positive one, even though it's kind of got, you know, shades of light, shades of dark. But I felt like that was a good way to finish.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, man, really appreciate having this conversation. It's good, it's nice to be able to talk.
Same, man, it was a great conversation, great project. I'm excited for everybody to hear it. But thank you, Rafi. Once again, I'm Linton Smith with Amazing Radio. Take care.
So you can see why I chose Linton. I would not be able to ask any of those questions. I have zero authoritativeship on jazz and all of that composition. And I'm going to show you guys one more. Are any of you familiar with the artist Katie Pearlman? She spoke here forever ago. She went to Tulane. She's a singer-songwriter. She was the first signed to Ross Golan's imprint publishing company off of, I believe it's Universal. And she lived here, obviously at Tulane, lived in LA, had some like Kelly Clarkson and Griffin cuts, and is now living in Taos, New Mexico, working on her craft. But she decided to release an EP, and I think it's quite brilliant. I do this next interview because I can talk about, you know, girl stuff and songs and things. So this one suited me a little bit better. Whenever we pick an artist to feature, we really try to find the presenter that will bring out the best in them and allow them to talk about their work the right way that we think that they'd like to talk about it. So this one's shorter, and this is Katie. I am thrilled to have her here with us today from Taos, Mexico. Katie, welcome to your Release of the Week show.
Thank you, Erin. Happy to be here.
Let's just start from the beginning. Can you talk about Where Do You Go, the song we're about to play, and what it means to you?
I was just really frustrated artistically, sound-wise. I was kind of like relying on other producers to dictate what the sound was supposed to be. For whatever reason, I had the inclination to just like start recording it and like producing it myself. Where do you go when you go there? But I'd never really produced before, so I was literally like clinking forks and knives together and like scraping rocks together and just like using the like whatever tools I had around me.
Oh.
Where You Go is special to me because it symbolizes like the beginning of this phase.
Where do you live when you live there? I adore you, and I think everything you're doing right now is so cool. And this song is something that our staff and presenters and everybody really fell in love with. The next one we're going to play is All the Way. Anything you want to share with us there? Because this song, y'all, turn it up. It's extremely special.
Yeah, I was sort of like dating like a musician friend at the time. Actually, that's a lie. We were really good friends, and we had this night together. It was just like one of those nights you stay up talking all night long, learning everything about each other, and it was so like wholesome and sweet. So I wrote the song about that night.
We haven't even touched, but we just went all the way, all the way, all the way. Now I'm over here and thinking about all the way.
And Katie, there is a theme to this album.
The reality is, I'm single in my 20s, and I think these are inherently just like experiences that get written about, and somebody has to write about them because I imagine other people have experienced similar things. So
I think other people have sex in their 20s, if that's what you're getting at. Speaking of sex in your 20s, this next song, age wasn't just a number. There was some stuff at play there. So the next song is called The Exception. What can you tell us about this track?
I had met an older man at Jazz Fest.
Oh, it was in New Orleans at Jazz Fest. Okay, I love it.
I met him at a dinner party at Jazz Fest. We were sitting next to each other. And I was like 20. I was like, never like looked at a guy older than, like, do I say his age? I don't know. I think the point is that it was one of those nights where like we were talking and everybody at the dinner party, like everybody else, like didn't exist. I definitely had like crazy feelings for him, and he was like twice my age. I kind of thought I could like change him, and the reality is like I couldn't. He was very much like, we could never be, because I would never introduce you to my kids, because his kids were like 5 or 6 years younger than me.
So the exception's about not being the exception.
The exception's about not being the exception. I thought I was.
I'm so sad we're getting to the end, but Katie, thank you for being here with us. This song is called Plenty, and I know that this song is the most special to you.
This song is special to me. I think because it's the hardest song I've ever written. At that time, I had let so many outside like factors and people like influence my art that I was really just inspired to do something completely myself. All these dudes were like kind of like telling me what to do and who to be and what to sound like. And I was just like, there has to be another way. Like, I can't go through my life listening to all these other people.
And what if love is just a speeding car that stops and starts for any heart that's brave enough to...
It was so hard. Like, it was one of those things where, like, I will just say as a writer, like, it was hard. It was not easy. It was a craft mixed with, like, a lot of sadness and emotion and heartache, and it symbolizes a lot of what this record is about.
Well, we are grateful to have you here today, Katie. Thank you so much for sharing this album with us, for sharing your time with us, and most importantly, for sharing all these wonderful stories. You're extremely honest and vulnerable, and it's what makes you such a great artist. So
I appreciate you, Erin, and thank you, Amazing Radio, for having me. This has been so fun.
And you guys, check it out. July 23rd, Mantra Songs is out. Thank you again, Katie. So I just thought those would be fun artists to share with you, people that were also on this street in college. And Katie actually was my assistant for a minute when she lived here, and then all of these beautiful things opened up for her, and that really is a fabulous record. I'm totally biased, but you should listen to it, or EP rather. So what else was I gonna show y'all? Well, okay, I have one more, but I'll save that for the end. Another thing that Amazing Radio is slowly rolling out. How many of you in here are songwriters? Okay. Oh, also to note, the Katie Perlman song that she did with Kelly Clarkson, she co-wrote that with Jim McCormick. And so we are rolling out something called Amazing Songs, where artists, songwriters, can upload their music into our system, but in order to view it, you have to prove that you're actually an executive somewhere. BMG is putting some of their catalog into it. It's a really cool feature, and I can tell you more about that as that develops further, but that's something new we're doing. And we're also gonna launch something called Amazing TV soon, which will mimic something much like MTV that I'm sure none of you would remember, when MTV used to actually play videos and have VJs that gave the videos context, and there's some other fun things that we're doing there, in addition to CMJ. Also, I'm talking with Kate Duncan about, we would like to do a show out of Loyola, so she is going to help me find 3 or 5 of you. I think they have to be in the internship program, correct? So, and we're gonna give those students an opportunity to have their own show where they can play their friends, play their own music, talk about things that are going on here at the university, and I'm really looking forward to that. Amongst other things, we'll ask those students to help us build playlists, to help us dig through, because we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs that come in each day, and so it's a lot of listening to figure out what's great quality and what should be featured and highlighted. So I'm excited about that. And then this is just a little something that we're gonna launch right after the holiday, and it'll close up in mid-January. But if you guys are in that internship program and are interested, you can skip this step. And please keep in mind it's not done, so the last card will let you know that.
Amazing Radio is looking for the next amazing presenter. Your boy Marty Miner's back.
Charlie Ashcroft with you. Linton Smith, aka DJ Mark, aka
Mimi and Music Queen.
My name is Toby.
Justin.
Erin.
New music radio station, that's what we're about.
We need you to champion emerging acts.
Wow, what a talent.
I really like her.
She is so beautiful, so cool, mind-blowing.
I highly suggest you peep him.
Show us your local music scene.
Local band right here out of Los Angeles,
New York, New Orleans.
Nashville really has a great creative culture here.
So many bands, there's so many venues.
Highly suggest checking out his show.
I think it's going to be one that you won't want to miss.
Does music discovery excite you?
This is where I bring you the digs, the finds, the new tunes.
And I'm assuming if you're tuning in, new music makes you happy too.
My show is always composed of stuff that came out in the last year.
I was so excited to come across her music. I just discovered them on Amazing Radio.
Join the amazing team.
We want to hear you.
Hear you. And so that is Amazing Radio. Thank you guys for letting me share videos with you and information. What was that? Questions? Sure. Yeah. Well, we don't, because the presenters really do pick what they want to play. I think you heard there was a guy in there, Marty, who says everything in my shows in the last year. That's the only prerequisite we put on our presenters, is that 5% of their show can be older than the last 12 months, but it, you know, like they might pull an old Revivalist song for context or something. So, and it usually comes out in a 2-hour show to be 2 songs. Really, it just has to be new. We find stuff that someone has literally done in their bedroom, and it might be a first track. Amazing Radio, I don't know if anyone remembers the band Daughter. They're also on Glass Note. So that's one that, like, we played a really poppy, like pop fizzle, not pop, but you know, like a real gritty demo, and it was just because our founder loved it, and that was why. So anything, we will play anything. I mean, that's why I use the Rafi Bushman example, because it's just so good. That song that Linton says he loves, Abraham, like, go check that song out. You don't have to like jazz to get how good that is. So anything. Are you in a band? Okay, just curious. Okay, cool. Sorry. Yes. We do not have any advertising. And until recently, we do charge people to upload their music in, but your first upload is free. So you kind of get to dip a toe in and see if it's worth your time and worth your while. And if you like it, it's $36 a year. Comes out to about $3 a month. And you can upload anything you want after that. It's limitless. And if you're a label account, so if you were managing a couple bands, or hopefully some more than that, it's $150 for the year. And there's no cap on that either. You can do either. So we do have an app, which is getting a facelift, much needed facelift. There's certain things that I'd really like to see added there. Like I said, the UK station has been around since 2007, launched in 2009, and then our station's only been around since May 2020. Yes. Yeah, sure, you can call it that. That's really what we're hoping to do. Like I have fantasies of a Hawaiian DJ or someone in Key West or someone in Boulder. So we're trying to get a good representation, and we're constantly adding new presenters so that they can represent their regions. And there's a UK stream and there's a US stream. So there's also UK playlistings and US playlistings, and the charts are not the same, which is kind of fun if you want to go look at what they are, because you'll see the UK side leans more heavy towards like grime and Swedish synth pop, and the US side is more what we are used to listening to over here. Well, we have in the back end, and if you guys want to go in as a fan, the experience is completely free, but you can create an account and make playlists. And so our presenters also make playlists. And a lot of us will just go in, like if I was to show you what it looks like in the back as someone who works there, you can see our tunes, we call them tunes, coming in. And you can see them coming in real time. So if I have a lull in my day, I might just start listening to like the last uploaded 10 songs. And we have certain people in the UK that have really fabulous ears that will go ahead and listen, and they create genre playlists for the presenters to make their lives a little easier. So, and they're very descriptive. I should have probably brought a screenshot of what that looks like. So, I mean, it'll be everything for, like, there might just be like a Swedish synth pop playlist that you can go to. One of the presenters you saw in those ads, Shel Zenner, she's in the UK. She's been with us for like 10 years. Anything she plays I know is going to be good. So if I'm having a lazy day for my show, I might go cheat and steal something from Shel. So we do listen to what each other play and check those things out. But really, presenter can just go in there and listen to what was uploaded 5 minutes ago. And the other thing, like just talking about who the presenters are, I mean, we got a guy, Jose Galvin, in LA. Are you guys familiar with KCRW? It's a great music station. So he also works for them. We have a guy, Justin Hamill, who was at Lightning 100 forever, which is in Nashville, which I think is the best terrestrial indie rock station, hands down, period. So he was there for a long time. He now runs the Acme Feed and Seed on Broadway. If you're familiar with that venue, it's at the very bottom of Broadway in Nashville. But most, I think, cool and importantly is he's been doing Bonnaroo radio forever. So we have a lot of DJs that are very experienced and have great track records. Toby, who's on there, was on K-Rock. She helped launch Sirius XMU. But then, like, if you saw the guy in Austin in that first ad, Dominic, he was recommended to me by a woman who does all the private events at the Civic Theater here because he used to do production at House of Blues, and now he's a music photographer in Austin, and he had zero radio experience. But we like his deep voice and his perspective, and he plays lots of cool Latin music that otherwise might be missed. Yes? Yes. So you keep 100% of whatever, and people buy. I mean, how many of you guys buy music, though? Yeah, so it's not as exciting as it once was. We are aware of that. But if you decided you wanted to sell your music, you could actually give your customer your fan, a deeper discount and still make more money than you would selling on iTunes. So you could sell it for like 79 cents, right? So that's the model. We also added donate buttons to all the artist pages when we hit the pandemic because we knew artists just needed a tip jar. And something else that we're working on developing, and I'm gonna start it here in New Orleans because why not, is a show called Venue Voices, a series that we're gonna call Venue Voices. So that woman I mentioned at the Civic, she does like all their weddings and private things, and if Big Frida shoots a video, she runs it. She'll do it. I'm hoping I can get the guy who manages Tipitina's to do it. Howie at the Howlin' Wolf will do one, and he's the owner. So we're gonna do that, which I think will be fun, and we're gonna give those venues also the donate button, because, you know, 2021 should be the year of no guest list and paying for tickets. So just my 2 cents. So we try to find ways to really be a part of the community and give back and find people to talk about music that maybe, you know, would seem obvious, but they don't have a voice or a platform. Because I think it'd be great to hear somebody in a local venue talk about all the great music they saw in 2019, maybe play a band that got canceled and then tell us when they're gonna play again, and then maybe play stuff they hope the venue will have or whatever is coming up on the calendar. And we're open to ideas, so if anyone has show ideas, bring them to me. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I mean, because I hope that we expand. I hope that regardless of what Amazing Radio does, you take a moment to think about investing in New Orleans, because it's a wonderful music town, as I think we all know. And sometimes we have music infrastructure, and sometimes it goes away. But if we don't keep great people like you guys, students who are actually about the business, and then, you know, we lose out. So I would just consider it. And if you guys aren't interning locally, or if you're not, and honestly, if anyone in this room needs help finding something, you can, my email, it's just Erin, ERIN, @amazing.us. And I'm always happy to connect good people with other good people and places. Yeah.